Hey everyone, welcome back to Voices of the Soul. Have you ever gotten like a raise and then thought, wait a minute, is this going to like mess me up with taxes?
Yeah.
Like, am I going to end up actually losing money?
Yeah.
Today, we are diving deep into that exact question, and it is way more interesting than it sounds.
Oh, this is definitely way more
Yeah.
interesting. And a lot more people share that concern than you would realize.
Oh, absolutely. And the source material for this deep dive is this super relatable Reddit thread where somebody's like super stoked about a raise going from like 28.99 an hour to $31 an hour.
Okay.
Seems like a clear win, right?
Yeah.
But they're freaking out about tax brackets,
Yeah.
thinking that they might actually end up with less money.
Right.
Have you ever felt that way?
I think we've all been there.
Okay, good. So we're not alone.
Not alone, no.
So break it down for us. What did the Redditors say about this?
Well, there were definitely people who had the same concerns as the original poster. They were like, oh my gosh, this is going to push me into a higher tax bracket. I'm going to end up with less money.
Right.
But a lot of people chimed in and were like, absolutely not. That's not how it works. A raise always means more money in your pocket.
Ah. So right off the bat, we have conflicting opinions,
Because I'm fair.
some fear, some reassurance.
Right.
Where's the truth?
The truth is, a raise always means you take home more money.
Okay.
Now, the U.S. has a progressive tax system, meaning you're taxed at different rates depending on your income. But the key here is that only the money you make above each tax bracket is taxed at that higher rate,
Interesting.
not your whole income,
Okay.
just the amount that goes above that threshold.
Okay, so the original poster was mentioning the 12% and 22% tax brackets for 2025, and I think that's where their concern was coming from.
Yeah, okay.
Like moving from $28.89 to $31 an hour would suddenly like catapult their entire income
Right.
into that higher bracket.
Exactly. That is the misconception.
Got it.
So to put this into perspective, let's just walk through an example with the poster situation.
Okay.
Okay, so with that new rate, they'd be making about $64,480 a year.
Okay.
You first subtract the standard deduction for 2025,
Right.
which is estimated to be around $15,000.
Gotcha.
That leaves us with a taxable income of $49,480.
Okay.
Now, only the portion of that exceeds the 12% bracket's upper limit, which is $48,475, is going to get taxed at 22%.
Okay.
So that's a difference of about $1,000 to $5.
Okay.
So just that little sliver is getting taxed at the higher rate.
Got it.
The rest is still taxed at 12%.
Okay, so it's not like this sudden jump
No.
where your entire paycheck is now
No, not at all.
being hit with that higher
It's
rate.
very gradual.
Okay.
It's a gradual shift. And to kind of put that into even more perspective, somebody in the Reddit thread actually calculated that even with the raise and moving into that higher bracket, their effective tax rate would only be about 9%.
Oh, wow.
Nowhere near that 22%.
That makes a lot more sense. So the fear of like losing money from a raise
Yeah.
is really just a myth?
Yeah, it is a myth. It's a common misconception.
But what about those benefit cliffs that people were bringing up in the thread?
Right.
That's where it gets tricky, right?
Yeah, benefit cliffs are definitely a real concern.
Okay.
And it highlights how a seemingly positive thing like a raise can actually have some negative consequences sometimes.
Okay.
But it is a very complex topic, and it definitely deserves its own deep dive.
For sure. I
But-
totally agree. It just seems like there are so many factors at play when it comes to personal finance.
Absolutely.
So how did this whole benefit cliff idea even come up in this Reddit thread?
Well, people were pointing out that even though a raise always means more gross income,
Right.
it can sometimes lead to a reduction or complete loss of some government benefits, like Medicaid or food stamps.
Okay.
And this happens because these programs have very specific income thresholds.
Right.
And if you exceed them even by a little bit, you can become disqualified.
So it's like you're being punished
Right.
for making more money.
Exactly. And that's why it's called a cliff, because it's like this sudden drop off
Yeah.
in benefits
Oh, I.
instead of like a gradual decrease. Like somebody in there gave an example that was really relevant to the original posters situation.
Okay.
They said that in Texas, if you have a family with 5 children,
Okay.
you could potentially lose your Medicaid eligibility if your income increases from $28.89 an hour to $31 an hour.
Oh, wow.
So then you could be stuck with significantly higher healthcare costs.
Wow. That's like a really great example of how such a small increase can have such a huge impact on somebody's like overall well-being.
Absolutely. It really shows you that personal finance isn't just about earning more money. It's about understanding how all of these things like income and taxes and benefits play together.
Yeah, you got to look at the whole picture.
You guys see the whole picture?
So what can people do to navigate these benefit cliffs.
Right.
Like it's a catch-22. You want to earn more,
Right.
but you don't want to lose
Right.
those essential benefits.
It's tough, but there's really no easy answer.
Right.
People in the Reddit thread had some suggestions.
Okay.
But it's important to remember there's no one-size-fits-all approach.
Yeah.
One thing that people were saying was to just really carefully analyze your current benefits
Okay.
and any potential income changes
Yeah.
to see if there's like a sweet spot where you can maximize your earnings and benefits.
That sounds like a lot of research and planning.
It is. It is.
Are there like resources out there that can help people navigate this?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
There are organizations that specialize in financial counseling for lower income families.
Okay.
And they can give you guidance on maximizing your benefits and avoiding those cliffs.
No.
Also, there are some really good online resources and calculators that can help you estimate how changes to your income will impact your eligibility for benefits.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So it sounds like awareness and like proactive planning are key here.
Definitely.
But before we wrap up this benefit cliff discussion, I want to circle back to something else that came up in the thread, which is 401k contributions.
Okay.
Some people were saying that that's like a strategy to kind of mitigate the tax impact of a raise.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
401k contributions are a great tool both for saving for retirement and managing your current taxes.
Okay.
Because you're contributing pre-tax dollars to a 401k, you're basically reducing your taxable income for the year.
So even if you get a raise and move into a higher bracket,
Right.
you can kind of like offset some of that increase.
Exactly. You can offset some of that increase by just putting more in your 401k.
Gotcha.
It's a win-win.
Yeah.
You're saving for the future and reducing your current tax burden.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, somebody in the thread even called it like getting a bonus from the government for being financially responsible.
I love that.
I thought that was pretty clever.
Okay, so let's just recap real quick.
Oh.
So the fear of losing money from a raise because of taxes, that's a myth.
It's a myth, yeah.
But there are these benefit cliffs to watch out for,
Right?
especially for people who rely on government assistance.
Absolutely.
And the key takeaway is that personal finance, it's multifaceted.
Yeah.
It's not just about earning more. It's about understanding how income taxes and benefits all kind of work together.
Exactly. You got to look at it holistically.
Right, so you can make the best decisions for your situation.
Right.
This has been so enlightening. I
Yeah.
feel like I've learned so
Me
much.
too.
I hope our listeners feel the same way.
Yeah.
But before we wrap up, I want to pose one final question now that we understand
Yeah.
how tax brackets actually work.
Right. Yeah.
And we've kind of unpacked these benefit cliff situations.
Yeah.
It's like one actionable step
Okay.
that our listeners can take today to actually apply this knowledge to their own finances.
Ooh, that's a good question. I would say the first step is to really just get a clear picture of your current financial situation.
Okay.
There are a bunch of free online tax calculators out there.
Oh, cool.
That can help you estimate your tax liability based on your income,
Yeah.
your filing status, all your deductions.
So it's like a personalized tax simulation, kind of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it can really empower you to make more informed decisions
Yeah.
about things like 401k contributions
Right.
and whether or not a raise might push you closer to one of those benefit cliffs.
Yeah.
You know, knowledge is power.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it sounds like these calculators can like help take away some of the guesswork and anxiety
Definitely.
out of like planning your finances.
Absolutely. And remember, if you're ever feeling overwhelmed or you're not really sure what to do,
Yeah.
don't hesitate to reach out to a financial advisor.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point.
They can provide really personalized guidance based on your specific circumstances and goals.
Sometimes having like that expert in your corner can make a world of difference.
Absolutely.
Well, this has been an incredible deep dive
It has.
into the world of taxes and raises and just this sometimes confusing landscape
Right.
of personal finance.
We debunked some myths.
Yeah.
We uncovered potential pitfalls.
We did.
And we explored some practical strategies
Yeah.
for like maximizing our financial well-being.
Exactly. For taking control.
I feel like I've learned so much,
Yeah.
and I hope our listeners feel the same way.
Yeah, me too. It's been a really fascinating conversation.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest takeaway for me is that we should never let fear or these misconceptions hold us back from pursuing financial growth.
I love that.
You know, understanding the system empowers us to make better choices.
100%. Well, I want to thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us today.
Oh, of course.
It's always a pleasure learning from you.
The pleasure is all mine.
And to our amazing listeners out there, thank you for joining us on this journey of financial discovery.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, everybody.
If you enjoyed this deep dive and want to explore more fascinating topics, be sure to subscribe to Voices of the Soul and check out the Shauna Pelage YouTube channel.
Yes.
We have got a whole library of deep dives waiting for you. Until next time, keep those minds curious and those souls inspired.
That's a good question. I think the first step is to get a clear picture of your current financial situation.
Okay.
There are tons of free online tax calculators
Okay.
that can help you estimate your tax liability
Okay.
based on your income, your filing status, your deductions.
So like a personalized tax simulation.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it can really empower you to make more informed decisions about things like 401k contributions and whether a raise might push you close to a benefit cliff.
Oh, okay. So it's like you can play around with those different capital.
Exactly. Play around with it.
Okay, cool.
See how it affects things.
Awesome.
Knowledge is power.
Yeah, 100%. And it sounds like those calculators can help take away some of the guesswork and the anxiety
Definitely.
that comes with financial planning.
Absolutely. And remember, if you're ever feeling overwhelmed or unsure,
Yeah.
don't hesitate to reach out to a financial advisor.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
They can provide personalized guidance based on your specific circumstances and goals.
Sometimes having that expert in your corner can make a world of difference.
For sure.
Well, this has been an incredible deep dive
It has.
into the world of taxes, raises, and just this often confusing landscape of personal finance.
Yeah, it can be complicated.
We debunked some myths, we uncovered potential pitfalls, and explored some practical strategies
Absolutely.
for maximizing our financial well-being.
Yeah, taking control of your finances.
It's been so enlightening. I feel like I've learned so much, and I hope our listeners feel the same way.
Yeah, me too. It's been a great conversation.
And I think the biggest takeaway for me is that we should never let fear or misconceptions hold us back from pursuing financial growth.
Exactly.
Understanding the system empowers us to make smarter choices.
Absolutely.
I want to thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us today. It's always a pleasure learning from you.
The pleasure's all mine.
And to our amazing listeners out there,
Yeah.
thank you for joining us on this journey of financial discovery.
Yes. Thank you for listening.
If you enjoyed this deep dive and want to explore more fascinating topics, be sure to subscribe to Voices of the Soul.
Yes.
And check out the Shauna Pelage YouTube channel.
Yes.
We've got a whole library of deep dives waiting for you. Until next time, keep those minds curious and those souls inspired.